evening. Hashtag my global family. This is Drea Beta, coyote walking in this world, real life Asleta Pueblo superhero. And on Wednesdays, pastor of Coyotes Lodge, House of Spirituality, Critical Theory, and Medical Marijuana. Thank you all so much for joining this Coyote spiritual community so that we can nourish our souls, family. Once a week, we come together to pray, to talk to our ancestors, to do some critical reflection, have some readings, and talk about our hopes and futures for the world. So join me, family, tonight for a very special celebration. Tonight, I would like to start, as always, with our Indigenous land acknowledgement. Please, at this moment, family, wherever you are around the world, take a moment, close your eyes, and reflect upon the ground on which you stand. What is the history of coloniality, enslavement, the blood spilt? What sacrifices have been made throughout our past, throughout our history, so that we may survive and be here today? I am proud to be in Albuquerque, New Mexico right now, home of 23 unique indigenous peoples. And this land is soaked with the blood of our ancestors who sacrificed so that we could be here today. In this moment of silence, we give thanks and prayer for everything they have done so that we may have hope. Family, at this time, I am also going to be offering a prayer to our ancestors. Every culture from around the world has a tradition similar to smudging. It is when we offer sacrifice and we burn something or we give up something to give thanks and prayer. And as I take the stage from our land, and I blend modernity, family, because all of our peoples are child of both, of our past and our present, family. And when we unite as one and we blend our identities and accept who we are, then transformation and humanizing love can happen. Dear Gami, Papa, ancestors, and all those who've gone before us, we burn the sage and we ask for your blessings. It is a brand new era. We are starting anew as the vaccine travels around the country and is distributed around the world. Dear Gami, you were a fierce mother, grandmother figure, and my first woman warrior. And dear Gami, would you please bless all of the mothers, aunties, Gamis, and female spirits all throughout the world. May you shed your grace on them and allow for their light to shine bright. Dear Papa, I miss you, Papa. Dear Papa, you were all kindness, tortillas, hugs, and fun afternoons. I miss you, Papa. Please send your blessings of kindness and love on all of our communities. And dear great-great-grandpa Pablo Beta, who was a true Asleta statesman and warrior for our people, who led by his example that indigenous people's lives and voices mattered. He made Washington stand still and take note of us. And may all of our leaders now, who literally have our lives in their hands when they make decisions, not only in Washington, not only in the Roundhouse, but in our everyday lives as we are all community members with agency. Please bless us with strength and wisdom as we grow and we learn and we love and live and thrive in 2021. To all of our ancestors, cousins, gamies, family, both blood and adopted, all of you who have gone before us and showed us that we mattered, that we were special, if even for an instant, because we had human connection and love. Thank you for that special moment in time, and may we remember it. May it be in our hearts and our minds when we find others around us who might need someone to lift them up. May we be there when we need them. And may they be there when we need them. And may we be there when they need us. Family! If you are not a spiritual person, then please at this moment send your intentions out to the universe and they will hear. We are also, in addition, Coyotes Lodge, House of Spirituality, Critical Theory, and Medical Marijuana. At this moment, family, I will do my ceremonial partaking of my medical marijuana, which is my medication, and save my life. And in this House of Spirituality, you do not have to partake of this medication, but we ask you to open your minds and hearts to alternate ways of healing, family. And I ask you, this medicine saved my life. As a survivor of trauma 3 times over, rape and molestation as a ramification of Indian boarding schools, police brutality, and an academic predatory relationship, I literally was suicidal in my life, family, and that is a dark place. And my medicine helped shine lights and help me find myself. So I ask you, family, in this house of healing, open your mind and may we embrace each other. Today's readings, family, come from a very special text. Our brother, Derrick Bell, was the founder of critical race theory, of which I am a proud indigenous warrior, two-spirited revolutionary researcher. And critical race theory tells us that the experiences of people of color matter, that our lives deserve to be collected as data, and that we deserve to have a place in academia and beyond. And our dear brother Derrick, today we are focusing on his idea of racial realism. Because I'm asking you, family, as a light-skinned indigenous warrior, I benefit from whiteness privilege. From lightness privilege because I'm an indigenous person. And literally, the U.S. government has my papers, family. No white blood, according to them. But my skin is pale due to coloniality and rape. Our people were enslaved here, and we were forced to convert to a white man's religion. So I'm asking you, family, how can we reclaim our identities and find ways to love ourselves? Our brother Derrick Bell today in his talk about racial realism talks about something that's scary. He talks about the permanence of racism within our society, within our world. And those are hard truths, family. In a society of America that is the home of the free and the land of the brave, that tells us we are a colorblind society that sees no race, that sees no gender, that sees no class. Yet we are enslaved. Yet these ideas bind us and affect our everyday lives. So he's asking us what is possible when we embrace the reality that racism is permanent in our society. He says that once we face the hard truth, family, there is hope. So let us open our ears, open our minds, and open our hearts to our dear brother Derrick Bell. Black people will never gain full equality in this country. Even those Herculean efforts we hail as successful will produce no more than temporary peaks of progress. Short-lived victories that slide into irrelevance as racial patterns adapt in ways that maintain white dominance. This is a hard to accept fact that all history verifies. We must acknowledge it and move on to adopt policies based on what I call racial realism. This mindset or philosophy requires us to acknowledge the permanence of our subordinate status. That acknowledgement enables us to avoid despair and frees us to imagine and enact racial strategies that can bring fulfillment and even triumph. Legal precedents we thought permanent have been overturned, distinguished, or simply ignored. All too many of the Black people we sought to lift through law from a subordinate status to equal opportunity are more deeply mired in poverty and despair than they were during the separate but equal era. Despite our successful effort to strip the law's endorsement from the hatred of Jim Crow signs, contemporary color barriers are less visible, but no less real nor less oppressive. Today, one can travel thousands of miles across this country and never come across a public facility designated for colored or white. Indeed, the very absence of visible signs of discrimination create an atmosphere of racial neutrality that encourages whites to believe that racism is a thing of the past. Today, Blacks experiencing rejection for a job, a home, or a promotion, anguish over whether race or individual failing prompted their exclusion. Either conclusion breeds frustration and eventual despair. We call ourselves African Americans, but despite centuries of struggle, none of us, no matter our prestige or position, is more than a few steps away from a racially motivated exclusion, restriction, or affront. And I'm asking you, family, these words from Derrick Bell talking in brutal reality, in terms that are frightening and scary, because I grew up with color blindness as the banner call, as hope and equality, and this idea of I have a dream, yet faced with the cruel reality of poverty, of watching my brothers and sisters who are brilliant and successful being told to go back to their countries. I am tired of seeing my Black and brown and LGBTQ colleagues and peers fear that they are not good enough for the academia because of the color of their skin, because we are told by our professors that you must wait, that you do not have enough knowledge yet, you do not speak our language yet, because you speak with an accent, because you are Dene, because you are Puerto Rican, because you are queer. So I'm asking you, family, this was written in 1992. Has anything changed? When he first started fighting in the civil rights movement in the 70s, has anything changed? So he's telling us to embrace the idea of the permanence of our subordinate position. And that is not giving up hope, family. That is realizing what the fight really is, what the struggle really is. And in that knowledge, in that freedom, and knowing that we are beating our fists against a storm that will never relent, can we then find some semblance of peace in choosing our one fight, in choosing our one area of change, and finding that one place, that healing space where we can thrive and create our own pockets of family and survival. Because this world was not meant to love me as a two-spirited indigenous warrior. It was not meant to love me because of my being myself. Anyone who is different in this country has paid that price time and time again. And I'm asking you, family, when will we stop the cycles of self-abuse? When will we embrace our true selves and love us for who we are? And that's what we're asking, family. Because the next part of Derrick Bell's reading, Brother Bell will tell us where our hope lies. While implementing racial realism, we must simultaneously acknowledge that our actions are not likely to lead to transcendent change. And despite our best efforts are not likely, maybe of more help to the system we despise than to those we are trying to help. Nevertheless, our realization and the dedication based on that realization can lead to policy positions and campaigns that are less likely to worsen conditions for those they are trying to help, and will be more likely to remind those in power that imaginative, unabashed risk takers will refuse to be trampled upon. Yet confrontation with our oppressors is not the sole reason for engaging in racial realism. Continued struggle can bring about unexpected benefits and gains that in themselves justify continued endeavor. The fight in itself has meaning and should give us hope for the future. The fight itself has meaning and it gives us hope, family, because the fight is our lives. We are fighting for our literal freedom, for the emancipation from the cradle to prison pipeline, for emancipation from homophobia and Islamophobia and racism. He talks about the permanence of subordinate positions, but he says that there is hope in the fight, family. And we will end with this. Sorry, family. Oh. Good emotion, family. Good emotion. All right, we are going to finish with the final words of Brother Derrick Bell on racial realism. A final remembrance may help make my point. The year was 1964. It was quiet, heat-hushed evening in Harmony, a small black community near the Mississippi Delta. Some residents were organizing to ensure implementation of a court order mandating desegregation. Walking with Miss Fiona McDonald, one of the organizers, up a dusty, unpaved road toward her modest home, I asked where she found the courage to continue working for civil rights. Derrick, she said slowly, seriously, I am an old woman. I live to harass white folks. Mrs. McDonald did not say she risked everything because she hoped or expected to win out over the whites who, as she well knew, held all their economic and political power and the guns as well. Rather, she realized that powerless as she was, she had the courage and the determination to harass white folks. Her fight in itself gave her strength and empowerment in a society that relentlessly attempted to wear her down. Mrs. McDonald did not even hint that her harassment would topple whites' well-entrenched power. Rather, her goal was defiance and gained force precisely because she placed herself in confrontation with her oppressors with the full knowledge of their power and willingness to use it. But our sister, Mrs. McDonald, was a warrior. And she fought for her community, and she fought for her family, and she was brave, and she was powerful. And I invite you, family, to give thanks that we have such amazing role models to go forth with, to take heart from. So, family, I would like for you to remember that there is honor and pride in what we do in this fight for all of our lives in a world that constantly dehumanizes us. And together, I believe that we will make change happen. Mwah! I am off to go cause trouble somewhere else. I love you all. May you go in peace and love and joy. Have a lovely evening, family. I love you